Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Stay tuned for this new tutorial called Heading Home. Alright, to start this colorful painting, I'll be working on a 9x12 canvas. You can use any size canvas that you want, of course. I'll be applying the following colors: neon orange, rose, light blue violet, and black. I'll also be adding just a little bit of white here and there. I'm just going to start blending the colors around with a dry, large mop brush. You can use any brush of your choice for blending, starting with the orange, moving into the pink, and then into the blue, and finally the black. So I start with my colors first, my pretty colors first, and then go into the black last because of course black is dominant and it's really overpowering, and I don't want to start with black and then go into those other colors because I'll lose those colors. So I need, the idea in this painting is to have this bright vivid sky. So definitely start adding the black last, guys. And I'm just going to use a few different blending brushes here. I've got an oval mop brush, but like I said earlier, you can just use any blending brush that you want. It's the brush stroke you're using and the technique to spread the paint around that really matters. So I'm scumbling around, twirling my brush, making little circles here and there, clockwise and counterclockwise. This is going to give the sky that dramatic look and really bring it to life, especially when we start adding our stars. And I'm just going to start lightly coming in with the composition here in the front, which is this open road. I'm going to add some more of my rose. Now, if you don't have any of these neon colors, just add a question or comment below wondering what alternatives you can use. Specifically for the rose, I'll just mention right now that magenta or quinacridone violet will work really well. And you can just use any bright pink that you have, bright orange, and if you don't have light blue violet, use cobalt blue and mix a little bit of white with it and it'll be really similar. So I'm just going to take a large flat brush now and cut across the canvas just below halfway. So it's really important to have more sky than foreground and land for the perspective, creating this dramatic look. So make sure that you're adding this highway or road below the halfway mark. I'm going to paint it all in black, and then I'm going to start pulling and flicking up gently to create some trees that are farther away. So they're going to be smaller and smaller, shorter little flicks as we get towards the center of the canvas or the road. And then we're going to pull longer sweeping strokes on either side of the canvas to make the trees feel larger and closer to us, helping to create that perspective and feel like we're right there in the foreground. With the excess paint in my brush, and there's not a lot, I'm going to scumble it out. So again, just a little bit of black that's left over in my brush. Scumble out along the edges of the canvas on the sky. So I'm going to continue painting this in. Now the idea with the road here is that the lights from the car aren't going to be very bright, but we want to have a little bit of that light kind of shining on the road. So I'm going to make it sort of a lighter shade, like a dark gray or even a light gray. Depends on how bright you want your road to be. So that's going to be on the very bottom part of the road in the canvas, but you'll see how that starts to take shape here in just a few minutes. I'm just going to pull a few more lines. I decide just to add a little line there with my flat brush for a power pole. I'm not going to add a lot of detail. It's more about just to create an idea that or a suggestion that there's some power poles there. So less is more. This painting is really about color and the contrast with the black. I normally don't use a lot of black in my paintings. And here, this is a really fun trick. While your paint is still wet, you can just scrape it off gently with a brush, and that's how I'm going to add my lines for the road. So skinnier, farther away as the road narrows in the distance, and then they're going to start to get slightly wider down towards the bottom of the canvas. So you just want to pull that paint off, wash your brush out, or just wipe it off, the excess off on a towel nearby. I'll go in with a little bit of titanium white if I need to really brighten that up and make sure that it's straight white, because later on I'm going to be coming in with my yellows. So if you are applying yellow over gray or a little bit of black, if it's not bright white, it's going to dry green. So it's really important to have that white, clean white base before we apply our final coat of color on those lines. So I'm just going to clean up the lines here a little bit, just pull and sweep off a little bit of that black that I accidentally got just there above. And then I'm going to wash this brush out and add some more movement and blending up in the sky. I've got a mini little mop brush here, and I'm adding a bit of white. Going to just swirl around and blend that around, creating more atmosphere in the sky. And then I'm going to come in and use a round brush and add a little bit more details to some of the trees and the power pole, but not a lot, just a few little lines here and there. So I'll just continue swirling my brush around, traveling around, letting all those paint colors start to blend in with one another. If your paint is drying too quickly, don't worry at all. Just take a little bit more of each color, or a little bit of white, even a little bit of water, and that will help create more atmosphere and different tones and shades in your sky. And of course, you guys can do this painting a few different times using different colors. It's really fun to experiment. You really can't go wrong. I'm actually planning on doing another one in neon yellow and turquoise with a bit of phthalo blue. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and you tap the bell so you don't miss out on my videos. If you tap the bell, you'll get notified that I've uploaded a new video. And so just down here is where I started adding a little bit more definition on the road and coming in with just a few little lines here from my power pole. And I'm going to add another one there on the left side, kind of leaning, not straight up and down. And then just a suggestion of some faint power lines, nothing too detailed. I want to just have it barely there and not take away too much from the sky and the open road. So I'll just scumble out a little bit of that paint, and then I'm going to take a toothbrush that you guys see me using quite a bit in my paintings to create stars and snow. So I just dunk it in the water, scrub it around in some white paint, and then pull and flick and spray all over. After I do that, I'm going to choose like the largest little spray dots on my canvas to blend out and create little swirls with my round brush. And this will make more of a celestial looking sky. So just lightly pull and wiggle around. It's really fun working on skies like this. And I've got a whole playlist. It's in my Northern Lights and Galaxy playlist. So I'll leave a link below or off to the side here for you guys to check that out. There's lots to see and learn on there, lots of inspiration and lots of color. Now, still using my little round brush, I'm going to take black and I'm going to cut in my lines on either side and scumble around, making it darker where I want it to be. So further away towards the horizon there is where I want it to be darker. So I'm going to go over and add more black and also cover up some of those stars and spray that I got on the road. I'm then going to add a little bit more highlight down on the bottom of the canvas in the foreground. And I'm going to clean up my lines on the road. I'm going to go in with a fresh coat of titanium white and make sure that it's nice and bright and clean, like I mentioned earlier, before I apply the neon yellow, and warm and cool at the end of the video, just to make sure that it doesn't turn green. So I can't emphasize that enough. It's really important. So as I'm adding a little bit more black here and my highlights on the road, I'll just mention the neon paints that I'm using are luminous, and they're the Holbein brand. So many of you guys are asking me all the time what neon paints I'm using. So those are the ones that I like the best, and I tend to recommend those ones over any other brand, just because the light fastness of them is so excellent. So the light fastness means that they stay neon for years. The thing about neon paints that a lot of people don't know, including myself, I didn't find out for a long time, is that neon paints, depending on the quality of them and light fastness, will dull and fade, and they, a couple months or a year down the road, they're not going to be neon anymore. And this is really important to know, especially if you're an artist selling your work. You don't want your customers to be unhappy and clients to be unhappy, and just in general, you need to know that. So the more money you spend on your neon paints, the higher quality. Check the numbers on the back for light fastness, and it's definitely worth it to spend a few extra dollars on a good quality paint, especially if you're a professional painter. These are just beautiful shades, and here you can see I'm just adding a little bit more of the neon yellow warm and blending it out. I want to add a little bit more saturation up in the sky, so I'm going to come in and add just a little dab of my neon pink. These are all the same brand, like I said, the Holbein and Luminous Neon heavy bodied acrylics. Okay, so I'm just going to dust around, swirling my brush, traveling around into that darker charcoal and black, and look at how it just really starts to take on a celestial galaxy sky. It's so fun, so vibrant, and if nothing else, you're going to really enjoy painting this. The experience of blending the colors around and seeing it come to life is definitely worth painting along with me. I'm going to come in now with a little bit of white with my round brush and wiggle and squiggle to make some more details here in the sky, maybe some clouds. I don't even know what it is. I just really enjoy creating patterns and blending around. I'm going to be adding a few more stars after, so you'll see me kind of just spray again with my toothbrush. And right here, I'm just going to take a tiny bit more of my neon yellow warm and add a light layer of that in with the white. Once it dries, it's going to look more like peachy or coral color. I really like to blend my whites with my neons because I get all those soft pastel shades, which is a really nice balance, especially when you're using such vivid colors in a painting. I think that it's really important to have some gradual tones and light to dark in a painting because it's a lot easier on the eyes. It's a lot easier to look at. And I'm going to come in now and start adding some deep green to my trees and tap in some branches. So I've got light olive green, which is like a green gold. I've got a filbert brush and a little bit of black. So I'm going to tap side to side, smaller at the top, and then start tapping larger, pushing a little bit harder with my brush side to side where the tree naturally gets wider towards the base, the bottom of the tree trunk. So I really like to use light olive green or yellows with my black because that's how I get more of that green gold natural earthy green, which looks just beautiful with the rose and the pinks in this painting. It brings it all together and separates it a little bit from the black road and all the black in the painting. I think that it's a really nice palette of colors that I'm using in this, and I have to say this painting has got to be one of my favorites that I've done over this past year, and I've been painting quite a bit. I paint every day, so I find that if I don't paint every single day, I'm not quite myself. I feel a lot more balanced and happy when I include painting, even if it's just for 10 minutes each day. It's really important for me. I'm just coming around with a little bit of that white and adding it to some of the clouds, very thin transparent layer. And it's just gonna make them kind of stand out, give it a little bit more depth in the sky. And I'm gonna add the final touches to these power lines, and I'm basically just going over the lines that are already there, and this one making it a little bit straighter. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my stars here, and then finish the painting off by adding my yellow on the road. So I'm going to be taking some neon yellow cool and warm, like I mentioned. Just with the end of the toothbrush there, I thought it would be fun to see if I could create a little bit more magic in the sky. So I squiggled and wiggled around and then decided to throw in a little veil of northern lights here by pulling and flicking up with my oval mop brush, but you could use a flat brush for that as well, guys. So I'm going to add the finishing touches here to the road, and like I mentioned, it's white. First, make sure that it's white, and then your colors will really show up. Once it dries, they'll stay this bright, bright yellow. I like both neon yellow, cool and warm, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to go with, so I decided to use both. So I'm going to apply both just using my round brush here. You could use a flat brush as well. A liner brush may be a little bit difficult just because it's a little bit hard to handle, but use whatever you guys feel comfortable with. Okay, so this painting is done. Thanks so much for joining me and watching this today. I want to wish you guys happy painting, and I'll see you all very soon in another video. Take care, everybody. Bye.